Anyway, hey guys, what's going on? It's Ratchet here. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit something different with my video today. So I wanted to go ahead and just tell a little story, little fun stuff. At least I have some warm up now that I've been talking to myself for 15 minutes. Um, so I want to go ahead and tell a little story about. I play a lot of like MX versus ATV Reflex on the channel, and I just wanted to share some of my writing experiences, like stuff like that. So I got my first ever. It was an ATV, is what I started off on. It was a little Rascal Quad. Uh, that thing had like a 2 horsepower engine. Didn't even go above 10 miles an hour. Uh, and that was my first ever bike. I got that when I was like probably 3 years old or so. So that thing, we had to drill little wooden blocks through uh, like the foot pegs so that I could use it. And my dad put like a little rope that was attached to the shut-off switch, and he would follow me around the front yard. And like if I went too fast, like if I was gonna crash or something like that, or I don't know, if I freaked out, he would pull the little cord and shut it off. So that was my introduction to riding, and I absolutely loved it ever since then. So after that, I got my older sister when I got the Rascal. She got a little PW50. She's about 2 years older than me. So that was my next bike, was a PW50, and that bike was absolutely crazy. This one specific story I have from it. So we were out in El Mirage, which is in Southern California. It's like an off-road park, I guess. And we were out at the lake bed, like right along the edge of the lake bed. We were just camping there. I think we spent the night or something like that in our trailer, our toy box trailer is what they call them. Um, and we were out there. I was on the PW50, and my dad was like filming with a really old VHS camera or something like that. So I know the videos around here in the attic or something. My dad still tells this story all the time. So here's little me, probably like 4 or 5 years old, on a PW50, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder how fast I can go on this thing." Like in my little 5-year-old head, like, "Oh, I wonder what's the fastest I can make this thing go in a straight line." So I went. What I felt was a really far way away from like my dad and like the truck and my older sister and like the edge of the lake bed and everything, which really was like 50 feet, maybe 100 feet. So I started going, and I got going honestly up to about 20 miles an hour, and then it kind of clicked in my head. How do I stop? Like, I didn't think that far ahead. Like, no, grabbing the brake or something like that would be too complicated, right? So I'm going about 20 miles an hour, freaking out, kind of like, oh god, I don't know what to do. And I come up, and there's a sandbar. It's maybe like 5 feet tall, so like, taller than me, and like, at the time. And I hit it on little PW50 at like 20 miles an hour, and mid-air, like my body fell off the bike, but my hands were still hanging on. So I was doing a Superman. It was crazy. And then, of course, I landed, I crashed, I tumbled. The bike flew off like 10 feet, 15 feet from me. Uh, and yeah, my dad came running over. He's like, "Oh my god, are you alright?" So I just, like, I want to point that out. My dad was there. He was making sure I didn't die. But, yeah, it was pretty great. Um, and then after that, the next bike I had was a little KTM 50, and that bike was absolutely awesome. It was actually not a hand-me-down for my sister. That was my only bike that actually wasn't a hand-me-down for my sister. So the strange thing about this bike is that the kickstart, it was the first bike I've had with a kickstart, and the kickstart, you kicked it forward, not backwards, which was insanely bizarre. I don't know if that's a KTM thing, like all KTMs are like that. It's honestly the only bike I've ever seen where you kick forward, not backwards. I don't know. It might have just been like a little thing. This was in the early 2000s, so I don't know. But that bike was pretty awesome. I had that for like 3 years, I think. Uh, After that, well, by the end of that 3 years, like I was growing and all that stuff, so we touched everything about that bike. Like it was still an automatic, um, but like the brakes were all done. It had like better suspension on it, so it sat taller. It had like the seat with like the little lip in it, so you can do like seat bounces and stuff. And that's really the bike I learned how to like ride fast on. Like that's the bike I learned to ride fast on. After that, the next bike I had was the KLX 110. It's from my sister. It was a hand-me-down. That bike, it was the first bike I ever had that had gears in it. So I learned how to go through the gears and all that stuff on that bike, and that was pretty great. Um, I actually ripped on that bike like crazy. Now, when I got that bike, that was like the next year or so, we moved from California out to the East Coast. And it was so bizarre because not only was I just learning the concept of like cycling through gears and everything, but we're out here, and for those who ride on the West Coast, the East Coast is entirely different. Like, there's so much more technical, especially where I am. Like when it rains and everything, the trails and everything and all the dirt is wet for several days. Like, and it rains a lot out here. Um, Plus, you have to like on trails and stuff. You're dodging trees. You have insane ruts in the mud. Even if it's dried up, it's like ruts that were in the mud from like people in their jeeps and stuff out here going mudding and all that. Going mudding. But yeah, it's entirely different than the West Coast. So when we moved out here, we actually really it's so much more you have so much more freedom out here when you're riding really like there's actually like a really old horse riding trail probably about a mile from our house, and it's not even like people don't even ride horses on it anymore. You take a fire access road down to some train tracks, and then you just kind of ride on a little 4x trail through like the trees and mud and all that stuff for probably about like a quarter mile, and then you're just out in this really big like basin almost. It's like a big bowl, I guess. But the area was huge. It really was. Like one lap, like we made a track. One lap around our track, it wasn't like, oh, you go over two little rollers and then you go around a little berm and then like you just do a circle. No, it was an actual track that we made. Now it wasn't like made in one day. It was made over the course of years. So we took out like we'd go back there and like my dad's truck with shovels, machetes, and stuff like that. And over the course of like 3 or 4 years, we made this into an amazing track. Like like there would be days that we went over there even without our bikes just to work on this track. It was like in a basin, right? So we actually built step ups and step down jumps. So they started off as just like these big hills that like guys in their trucks and jeeps or whatever, I guess, were just like trying to like 4 by up. The hills are probably like 20, maybe 30 feet high. Like it was like if you're trying to like climb up it, like you gotta like use your hands and everything. Like they were kind of tough to get up. Over the course of like these 3 years that we were building these tracks and everything, uh, we actually like built proper step ups. Like we had like a big kicker at the bottom. Kicker was probably I don't know. It was probably 4 or 5 feet high, so it wasn't really super tall. But that would kick you up. Uh, Almost like if you hit it right, like if you hit it fast enough, you would land up on top of the step up. Once you landed, you went around a big berm that we had up top, and then there was a step down. And how we made the step down is we just kind of compacted like a little bit of dirt on the edge of like another one of these big hills that like the people would 4 by up. We just compacted a whole bunch of dirt like on the edge to make a little tiny kicker, and you would just like roll up and hit that, and then launch probably 10-15 feet out and across, and then land on a big like landing hill, I guess, whatever you want to call it, like a lander, like the jump that you land on. um and yeah, that was it. I don't really know how to end this, but thank you very much for watching the video if you watched it. This is a new format for me, so I kind of was talking over some pre-recorded stuff, just telling some stories. I don't know. I like this. I thought it was pretty cool. I got to talk, like, tell some stories, be more of a person and less of just like a commentator, I guess. So, if you like this video, like, slap the shit on that like button. If you didn't, well, whatever, you can dislike it, but I mean, I wouldn't like that. But, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have an awesome day.